Hey all, welcome back to another segment of Should You Use This Said Pokemon in Scarlet and Violet. In the recent comments, you guys brought up Dachsbun. This is a pretty random Pokemon to bring up, and I really don't know off the top of my head how well it would perform in a Scarlet and Violet playthrough. So we're gonna go ahead and cover that today. Also be sure to leave what Pokemon you want me to cover next in the comments below. The one with the most upvotes will be the next one that I do. I guess with that, let's just swing on in. So, starting off, Dachsbun's pre-evolution Fido can be found very early on, being available as early as South Province Area 1. From there, it can be evolved in the Dachsbun by simply leveling it up to level 26. So right off the bat, it's available really early to catch and to evolve, so that's a strong plus. At first glance, you could mistake Dachsbun as your typical early normal type Pokemon, but it's actually not. Dachsbun is actually a fairy type with a very interesting set of stats, I can say. Its highlights are 95 base speed, 115 defense, with an 80 base physical attack stat. For an in-game playthrough, these stats are totally fine. 95 base speed is easily enough to outspeed the majority of Pokemon in the game. 80 base attack isn't the greatest, but it's not completely terrible in-game wise. Its level up moveset leaves a lot to be desired, with its only 3 highlights being Play Rough at level 18, Double Edge at level 38, and then Crunch at level 47. At least it gets Play Rough at level 18 though, and that's pretty much all the offensive power you can ask for with a 90 base attack that early on, and being able to carry it through the rest of the game. Coverage-wise, it has a lot to choose from. Take your pick from the plethora of Elemental Fangs, Stomping Tantrum, and heck, even Body Press is great if you want to utilize that 115 base defense. Other than that, its usage from the in-game perspective I feel is easily outclassed by Pokemon such as Gardevoir or Azumarill. And I'm sure you guys are sick of me talking about these Pokemon. Oh, and Tinkaton too. I haven't forgotten about Amy Rose yet, nor Grimmsnarl, it's very good too. For the competitive people out there, Dachsbun finds more usage most definitely, sitting nice and pretty at the UU tier, being a solid defensive mon with a pretty nifty ability being Well-Baked Body. With this, Dachsbun takes no damage to fire-type moves, and instead its defense is boosted by 2 stages. For in-game though, you really don't need to set up all that. I would say it's average at best from the in-game point of view, even factoring in all the important battles. I'm sure in certain circumstances, its ability could save you in a playthrough, as well as its solid defense stat. But a situation like that is pretty unique and limited in my honest opinion. I'm sure there will be someone who says otherwise in the comments though, as there always is. Not to mention, it's a pure fairy type, whereas the fairy types I mentioned above all have fairy typing as their secondary typing. With that said, I feel the player would get much better usage from using a mon with the fairy type alongside another type, as that allows for more diversity in team building and also just more offensive power from 2 stab typings rather than just having access to fairy stab. My final verdict is Dachsbun is definitely usable for sure if you want a fun, different playthrough. It does have multiple coverage options to choose from, as well as a decent attack stat. It has its usages for sure on the competitive front, but in-game wise, it's just a different ballgame because you're not predicting an opponent's attacks and switching around all the time. Also, when Dachsbun is just average in a pool of excellent fairy types, unless you're a fan of Dachsbun in general, there's just not really any merit in using one. Well, that wraps up my analysis on Dachsbun. What'd you guys think? Am I right or am I wrong? Let me know your thoughts down below. Also be sure to leave what Pokemon you want me to cover next in the comments below. The one with the most upvotes will be the next one that I do. With that said, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.